Hey everybody, how's it going? I have a ton of things that I want to show you that's going to blow your mind. And this is some of it right here, but this isn't everything. 2014 is the third anniversary of the 2011 warning signs that seem to have been pointing to a coming asteroid impact, which, according to the Bible, also involves a mass rescue. And I don't know the date of that. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I just want to point out some patterns here. The biblical texts indicate the asteroid impact will occur sometime between now and 2016. We've talked about that. But in this video, we're going to go and take a look at the patterns between Elenin and YU-55 3 years ago and how that seems to tie into the biblical warnings. So you probably remember the mass awakening that occurred in the internet in 2011 with the passage of Comet Elenin. And although Elenin itself didn't cause damage to Earth, there were plenty of other synchronicities to warrant our attention. For example, it was in perfect alignment with the Earth and the Sun on February 27th, 2010, when the Chile earthquake and axis shift occurred. So we're just going to list the facts here so we can have a clear view of what was going on. Elenin was depicted in the JPL diagram as being in perfect alignment with the Sun and Earth on the date the Chile quake and axis shift occurred. So that's the first point. Then it was also in alignment with the Earth and Sun on March 11th, 2011, when the Japan earthquake and axis shift occurred. So that's our second supposed coincidence, another axis shift on the same alignment. Then on September 11th, 10 years after the falling of the towers, Elenin reached its closest point to the Sun. So the official date of perihelion is recorded as September 10th right here, but I have an old video here that proves the Jet Propulsion Laboratory numbers in 2011 showed that Comet Elenin was scheduled to reach its closest point to the Sun on September 11th. So you can see here that its listed distance from the Sun on September 11th was 0.482. And the day before, on September 10th, it was at a distance of 0.483, which is slightly further away from the Sun. And on September 12th, it was at 0.484, even further away. So Elenin reached perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, on September 11th at 0.482 AU from the Sun. But here's what gets even weirder. The asteroid YU-55 right here also reached perihelion on September 11th at 0.653 from the Sun. So on September 7th, it was at 0.654, a little bit further away. And on September 13th, right here, it was also at 0.654. So its closest point to the Sun was at 0.653 AU on September 11th. So both Elenin and YU-55 reached their perihelion on September 11th, 2011. But not only that, Elenin and YU-55 were also in perfect alignment with each other and the Sun on that same day, the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. So this YouTube channel has a good shot of the alignment here. This is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory diagram from 2011, and you can see Comet Elenin and the asteroid YU-55 were in perfect alignment with each other and the Sun on September 11th, 2011. The same day they were both at their closest point to the Sun. So Comet Elenin and asteroid YU-55 both reached perihelion and were in perfect alignment with each other and the sun on September 11th, 2011, the 10-year anniversary of the 9/11 tragedy. Okay, but that wasn't the only coincidence going on with these two objects in the fall of 2011. The name of the discoverer of Comet Elenin was a Russian amateur astronomer named Leonid Elenin. And the first name of this discoverer, the word Leonid, refers to the Leonids meteor shower that occurs every November. So if Leonids, plural, refer to a shower of many meteors, then a Leonid, singular, would refer to one meteor. In other words, a meteor in November. So the name Leonid means meteor in November. So Leonid Elenin literally means meteor in November, Elenin. Well, ELE was the name of the comet that impacted Earth in the movie Deep Impact, and we know of at least 5 events in that movie that ended up being real events. And in that movie, ELE stood for Extinction Level Event, caused by a comet impacting Earth. So Leonid Elenin means meteor in November, extinction level event, NIN. And it seems NIN on at least one level means near impact November, because Elenin can also stand for 11/9. In other words, November 9th, which was the date asteroid YU-55 passed close to Earth. So here's the diagram right here. You can see the date and time up at the top. It passed Earth's orbital plane exactly at midnight UT time on November 9th. So that may have been the near impact November, but there's so much more to this. Also on November 9th, 2011, the first ever test of the emergency broadcast system was held right here. And also on that date, the UN's Exercise Pacific Wave, which was a tsunami drill. You can find this on the UNESCO site. UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and they were formed November 4th, 1946, which you can see is part of this 3.5-year period of the establishment of the world government. We've talked about that before. So that Exercise Pacific Wave ties into all of this somehow, and since the biblical texts say the UN is deceiving the world, it makes sense that the Pacific Wave they're implicating here may actually be a coming Atlantic wave, because that's what the biblical texts seem to be warning about, an asteroid hitting the Atlantic. And the biblical texts have already accurately predicted countless events in recent years. So I'm betting on that one. Or I would rather bet on that than I would what the UN says. But here's the other thing about the asteroid that passed on November 9th, 2011. Its diameter was 400 meters, which roughly matched the height of the Twin Towers, which were 417 meters. So there's no way all of this is mere coincidence. 2 very real and major axis shifts on 2 alignments of Elenin, Earth, and the Sun. The perihelion and perfect alignment of both Elenin and YU-55 on 9/11/11. The meaning of the name Leonid Elenin, meteor in November, extinction level event, near impact November, November 9th, and also the close passage of YU-55 at exactly midnight on November 9th, 11/9/11, having a diameter roughly equaling the height of the Twin Towers, which went down exactly 10 years prior on 9/11. And 9/11 as in emergency, 911 emergency alert, which was the test held on 11/9/11. But there's more. November 9th is also World Freedom Day, declared by George Bush in 2001 after 9/11. And November 9th is also the date the Mayflower first spotted land in America. On November 9th, 1620, they spotted land in Cape Cod, and they came ashore 2 days later on November 11th. And that Atlantic ship, the Mayflower, may also tie into these Titanic synchronicities. I don't know. We've looked at this before. But specifically November 9th through the 11th, the time when the Mayflower spotted land and docked, that was also the birth of Saturn in 2011. Right here, November 9th through the 11th. And this seems to tie into the described sign in the book of Revelation that happened the following year. The sign that is described in Revelation 12 is Virgo giving the birth to the sun and the moon beneath her feet, and the planet Saturn is waiting to devour her child. It's extremely complex, so if you want to know the explanation of that, you can watch the video. It's linked below. But this sign happens about every 500 years, and it occurred on October 16th, 2012, which was the true biblical Feast of Trumpets in 2012. So October 16th, 2012, the first sign described in Revelation 12 occurring on true trumpets, and exactly 1 year before that, on the same date, October 16th, 2011, Elenin reached its closest point to the earth on the standard Jewish Feast of Sukkot, the 4th day of it, to be exact. The 5th day starts in the evening, and the sign itself occurred at around 1400 hours, I think Hawaii time, because that was the best angle for this. But the moon moves quickly. It changes position by the hour, and it was in perfect alignment with the 2 stars representing Virgo's feet during the 4th day of standard Sukkot, which would have been the start of the 5th day in the Middle East. So just keep that in mind, because the 4th and 5th day ties in with the 4th and 5th year, and we'll talk about that later. Because we're in the 4th going into the 5th year from that event right here of Elenin being closest to the earth on October 16th, which was the same date that Revelation 12 sign occurred the year after that. So prior to that point when Elenin was closest to the earth, it was in alignment with the sun and earth on the Jewish Feast of Trumpets right here, September 28th through the 30th. It was in alignment with both the sun and the earth again. And that was the alignment right after that perfect alignment and perihelion of Elenin in YU 55 on September 11th, 2011. So then there were exactly 40 days between the standard trumpets alignment of Elenin and the passage of YU 55 on November 9th. And also exactly 40 biblical days between the first day of standard Sukkot that year until the November 22nd alignment of Elenin, Earth, and the Sun. So here's a chart of some of the more important points right here. You can take a look at that. I'm out of time for this video. The link to part 2 is below, and also the link to the playlist is below, because there's a lot more to this.